Tag show. Tag show. That's gonna leave a mark, Taylor.
That's undisputed because I'm undisputed.
Over talking. Stop.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's another edition and New Year.
Happy New Year.
for
Merry
the Knicks
Christmas.
Tag Show. Happy New Year. I mean,
Right.
Christmas was like 2 weeks ago. We said that since then. But yeah, for
But
people
we
that didn't
didn't
listen
say
yet or
we
watch,
didn't
Merry
say
Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holiday, Feliz Navidad.
Yeah.
Happy
Kwanzaa,
Independence Day to
happy
my Haitian
Hanukkah.
family. Hanukkah,
Sak
Kwanzaa.
Sakwase.
Yeah. All I did was eat soup yesterday.
That's Blue is the type of person he doesn't show the food. He shows the after.
No, I showed the food too. I
The
showed the
aftermath.
food.
I got on Twitter or Instagram, whatever it was, and it was the aftermath. I was like, okay, where's the actual footage? Where's the food? It's I don't want to see an empty bowl, son.
It was like 2:00 in the morning. I showed the entire. Like, my mom makes this big pot of soup, and I showed the soup inside the pot, and then I showed the 3-0. I had like 3 bowls by that time.
Oh, that's what that meant. 3. No, okay.
Yeah.
You went in.
Yeah, definitely. Yo, Betty White died. Like, rest in peace to Betty White.
Yeah.
She almost made it to 100. We felt her.
Yeah, that's she's definitely an icon. I normally don't, and I don't want to seem insensitive, but I never get too. It depends on certain people or celebrity deaths or whatever that you hear.
Right.
So it's obviously unfortunate, but with Betty White is like truly a legend, and like every person loved her, right? Like if there wasn't it was nothing negative about her. It was just everyone loved her, and it just shows that how positive and such a good person she was. And then I was not to go too often to a tangent, so we can start the show, but just I was just reading that how I forget, like there was a tap dancer on her show back in the day, and he was a black man. And they didn't want, like, I guess the TV executives or whatever, producers didn't want her to have a black man on her show. And she was like, well, you got to deal with it. And she gave the tap dancer an even longer slot, right? Or even more time on her show. And then they soon afterwards canceled her show. So it's just like, you respect that. And it's just like funny, just the comedic timing she constantly had. So it's unfortunate, but she did live a long life. And then I read somewhere, it's like, even though you live, maybe it was a quote from her, I don't know, but like, you lived this long, but it just still seemed like not enough, right?
Right.
Especially like dying before 100, but she's with her beloved husband.
She almost made it.
But
she's in a better. We was rooting for it.
She's in a better place, so there's some comfort in there. That.
How was your holidays?
My holidays were good. I realized, growing up, it was like, you got to get all the gifts, and that was the thrill of Christmas. And then I realized, that the meaning of Christmas has changed. It's not, I'm expecting gifts. Like I bought everything that I got. Now it's like, if someone's going to get me something, like you have to think out of the box, right? At this particular point in life. But that I don't really necessarily, I'll be lying to you if I said I don't like gifts, right? But it's just, I'm not necessarily like, okay, I got to get something. I was more, what brought joy to my heart, or it's like, was just to see the reaction to the gift that I got. So that's what made me really enjoy Christmas this year. So
welcome to adulting.
Yeah,
like
for
last
sure.
Year, I realized that a while ago, but then like last year it really sunk in. Like I bought everybody else gift, and I didn't get anything. And I was like on Christmas Day passing out gift, like here's your gift. Mom was like, wait, where's your gift? I'm like, nah, I'm good. and I was really good. Like I was just happy to see everybody else, the kids, my parents, my wife, everybody else enjoy everything. And my wife of course, got me something later on. She surprised me, but I was just like, I wasn't expecting anything. I'm good.
Yeah, like I had even got on my mother like, oh, you're not gonna get me anything. And I was just playing. It's like, like, seriously, this year if you got me something, which I did get stuff, but I wasn't pressed or anything like that. I'm grateful.
Right.
But the joy is just seeing
You're
others'
growing.
reaction.
You're growing. I remember when we first did the podcast and you was like buying like 20 million gifts and waiting on 20 million gifts and.
Well, it wasn't
like
that I was. It wasn't that I was waiting
like,
for 20. No, you making it seem like you
like,
telling the public like if like I'm some like greedy I want all
no,
the
I
gifts
didn't
in the
say.
world. If
I
people
didn't say
want to
greedy.
give,
I said you
if,
bought 20 million gift, and then you also waited on like the gift exchange was like prominent for you, and then now to see your growth is like it's amazing. I'm giving you props.
Well, no, because I also feel like you kind of just shaded me because I just like it's not so much like so you always see it's I've always been about exchanging gifts, but it's also
That's what I said.
yeah, but I think I like not necessarily that I was looking for to gifts, but if someone sit here and go all out, something in me feels like I gotta get this person gifts too. So that which is I'm fine with, but that's the whole thing.
I understand. No, I'm just saying I'm just saying for the difference in tones, like exchanging and receiving. I'm giving you props of growth. Just accept it.
No, because it just like I don't really see the difference in if I'm exchanging gifts and going all out to get it. Didn't I go all out when I got you gifts? And I remember the edit that I did with you and
I
the
know,
Undisputed.
I understand that, and I loved it.
I'm done. I don't even know. I'm
not even saying it in a negative way.
I can't.
I'm trying to add to your growth.
We're going into the new year, and I still can't stand you. All right.
If you haven't already, make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Mixed Tag Show. Follow us on our personal at Blue Magic Grind, Spit High Sound, and
at Miss Jenna Baby BAYBEE.
Y'all subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to hit 1,000 this year, at least by like March, maybe. I say 6 months. Within the first 6 months is like what, June? Let's try to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe to our podcasts on your favorite platforms. Give us reviews. And also on Twitch. I found the interesting thing about the Twitch situation. If you subscribe to our Twitch, now that we made affiliate things to you guys watching our Put You On, we have more segments coming for you in 2022. If you have an Amazon Prime, if you link it to your Twitch account, you get 1 free subscription. So it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe to our channel once a month. So if you haven't done so already, link your Amazon account and subscribe to our Twitch. And we'll truly appreciate it at The Mixed Tag Show.
Also look out if you're listening and watching to this show. Currently, we are dropping the new season of our fantasy draft that hopefully Blue posted the graphic on Sunday because this is now Monday that you're listening to this. So hopefully he posted it on Sunday. Yeah. Shout out to our previous winners of the past season, the Jobbeteers podcast, Janelle and Mr. Black. We are still currently waiting for their titles to be shipped to us because apparently there is a shortage in raw materials such as gold. Look, see, we're just giving you world news.
Right.
So we're still waiting on those titles so we can show everybody and present and whatever the case might be. So, in the meantime, we can't hold off the new season. So we're trying to get it started because this is the road to WrestleMania now, right? So,
yeah.
Yeah,
it doesn't hurt. It doesn't help that we change manufacturers in terms of like the titles.
No,
that
was on you.
Different.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks better though. Like, right?
It
looks better than the other one. Let's be honest.
For sure.
You know what else is a shortage of? I know this is like world news, whatever.
Expensive.
It's the same amount.
No.
There's a shortage of cream cheese coming out of Philadelphia.
Oh my God! Wow, it's crazy.
You don't eat cream cheese?
I love cream cheese.
Toasted bagel, I love cream cheese. Exactly.
Is one of the best things in life, but yeah, it's just like
there's a shortage. Just like there's a shortage of wings. I can't find the Walmart wings anywhere because they just stopped doing it. This is the crazy times we're living in. We're all about to be vegan.
Yeah. Anyway, so we can just get ready and start the show because that's enough world. That's enough for our world news segment.
And that concludes our segment of the world news.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's talk about day one. I actually, I watch pay-per-views, so I caught some of this.
Sorry for the background noise if you're hearing background
the
noise.
noise,
It's
the
New
noise
York.
of New York.
Right.
Sorry, not the noise. The music of New York.
Yes.
So what stood out to you? And we'll save, of course, the championship match for last. But what stood out for you for day one the most?
The Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch match. I mentioned on Twitter that it was obvious that Becky was going to win because for whatever reason, it seems like WWE's MO is for the heavyweight champions to hold the titles essentially into going into Mania, which is unfortunate because, that could probably spice things up a little bit. I don't really care for Becky's heel turn, and I was just having this conversation last night. It was just funny how it was a time where the crowd used to just really pop for her. Granted, she was a face, but I don't think necessarily this heel. Like, there's some good moments, but I think in general, I just don't think she's really captivating as a heel. But the
You not
reason
bought
why,
onto big time Bex?
nah, I like shout out to King Troy, the way he got Seth Rollins and her together. And actually a lot of people in regards to like in their wardrobe. He's killing their wardrobe. But what stood out to me was the match, not necessarily on Becky's end, but Liv's end. Liv did a phenomenal job. Like I've seen that Liv has needed work just overall. There's the potential there. Obviously she didn't necessarily always get the opportunity, so now that she's like being featured a little bit more, you're getting these opportunities. And you always notice with Liv, she's always posting videos on her social media of her like really training and working hard. Like I know there's been a couple of times she's trained with Natty and just a couple of other people, and there was a specific move that she did. It was like a power bomb. It was like um off the top rope. I don't know. I don't know
The
if that was
sunset flip.
it was a sunset flip, but the way it was
Yeah, she jumped off the mid on the bottom rope and did bottom or middle rope and did the sunset
from
flip into the
yeah,
bottom.
from an angle. Yeah. So I was just like, wow. So we were like, oh, okay, this is high. And then it was just multiple moves and then the submission. I was like, she is really killing it. I was very impressed and very proud of her, how well she did. And again, I know it was obvious that Becky was going to win, but I think she earned, to actually win, right? But
Yeah.
it is what it
A lot.
is with booking.
First of all, Jersey. Shout out to Liv Morgan.
Not as first of all Jersey. Okay.
Yeah, but I've been, I don't know if you remember this. I've been saying that Liv deserved a better chance. I've known that she's been training really hard. And outside of like when she was working with the Riot Squad, and she was getting like better and better. You saw the improvement for her, and then they just took her off TV. It was just like, but she was getting better in the ring. And I saw some comments last night on Twitter where it felt like a lot of people felt like Liv not carried the match, but drove the match last night, and it was really just based on her offense and her abilities in the ring.
I'll say it. I think she carried the match. I'm not gonna be. I'll say it, and this is no shade to Becky, but I think she carried the match for sure.
Yeah, like, and usually that's not something that you're used to hearing with when one of the four horsewomen in the ring for one, and for two for Liv Morgan in general. Like, remember how long it took for her to get here? Like the entire last year, I was like, yeah, where's Liv Morgan? Where's Liv Morgan? You brought her in, took her out, brought her in, took her out, and then now that you finally gave her a chance, she delivered not once but twice. So like, to me, I would have been okay if she won last night. Give it a change of pace to the women's division in general, because right now you have about like 19 women active on both rosters, and you can't just keep doing the same old thing. Like, we've seen Becky as champion for over a year. We've seen that her character has changed. Add more depth to her character. She can't keep being dominant, in my opinion. But yeah, again, going back to Liv Morgan, I feel like that was a good chance for her to pull up an upset at day one and
For
maybe do a
sure.
rematch at Royal Rumble.
For sure. And just going back to what you just said, you know, Becky can't necessarily stay champ forever. She's been like well over a year, or since she's before she got pregnant and left. She's been the champion. And the thing is, it goes back to what we've been saying. Is just like they need Nick cred titles at this point. And I know there's been certain people that have said, well, if you get another title, they're just not going to defend it. It's just, they can't even manage their tag team division, right? And that's very much true. But it's just Liv deserves a title. These are people like Liv, Naomi deserves a shot at being a champion. So if you're gonna give their main superstars these long title reigns, then maybe there's something else that needs to be fought for. Especially Raw, I will say the past couple weeks has done a good job in the sense of having multiple women matches. Right? They've like you. I know you don't watch WWE during the weeks,
weekly.
but yeah, weekly. But I've noticed like it's been quite a few weeks where it's been like at least three women segments, and that's like, all right, cool, that's dope, right? So if you're giving three women segments, then easily you can add a mid card title, right? And have them fight for something. But you can't sit here and just like Becky has the title since since August, right? And then before that it was and I love Bianca, but Bianca had her title from April to August. And then before that it was Sasha had her title from April to what was it, October, when she won at Hell in the Cell the year
And
prior in
and
2020.
and when you do stuff like that, you don't even have like meaningful feuds in between. It's just like a setup for the next champion. Like when Bianca,
Exactly.
when Sasha won, she didn't really have much feuds until
Yeah.
Bianca, and then she won.
Yep.
And the same thing for
Exactly.
Bianca until Sasha came back, and then the
Exactly.
hiccup happened, and you gave it off to Becky. Like you have to do something interesting in between those title reigns.
Exactly. And then listen, even if you do decide to do something different between in those title reigns, then you can actually look at Raw. Before it was Becky, they were kind of hot potatoing the Raw Women's Championship. But the point is, you got to get something meaningful, right? So, if you're gonna give long reigns, it has to be. I think there should be multiple feuds to make it, a good reign. Kind of like what Roman is doing. He's had this title for well over a year, right? But
It was
it's
like
been multiple reigns.
400 and some days.
Right. So there's been multiple reigns.
488.
So
Yeah.
so if you're gonna do that, then and you're gonna have your women holding these titles for so long, then they're gonna have to have multiple reigns. If you're not gonna do that, I mean multiple feuds. If they're not gonna do that, then bring in the mid card title, so people again like Liv and Naomi can actually be champions like they deserve. So
Speaking of Naomi, when the match got canceled yesterday, and you sent it to me the information of Roman, we wish him a speedy recovery,
yes, he
getting
tested
COVID.
positive.
Eh,
Yeah, positive for COVID.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then my fault on the graphic too. I put positive. What is it with a D at the end? I'm
I was
like, what
like
is happening?
positive, and I was like,
I was in the middle of, like, I told you, this is Daddy Weekend. I was like in the middle of playing charades and trying to like get the graphic done,
I
and
was like,
that's my
where they get
fault.
this news from?
Right. What is
Uh-huh.
this copy and paste?
Yeah.
Um, but I felt like when the match was canceled, that was a great way, even though it was dumbfounding that it wasn't a more than one women match on the card in general. Like when that got canceled, why didn't you add another women's match,
Sonya and Naomi.
Sonya and Naomi, or even have something for your tag team titles?
Well,
You do
listen,
have other titles for the women.
yeah, and the thing is, we've actually been saying that this would probably be Sonya and Naomi would have been a feud that should have been at day one. That we all thought that was what it was gearing towards too. So that should have definitely been on that card. The SmackDown Women's title wasn't defended. Obviously, maybe Tony Storm and Charlotte would have fought, but obviously Tony quit and was granted her release. So
Right.
I don't know, but
There's like, but that's what I'm saying. You had other stories that you could, even the Bianca and Drew drop, run that back.
yeah, they was. I mean, they had
felt,
three matches. They really
well,
had three
yeah.
matches.
See, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
They are like, that's crazy. But that tag match in the beginning, I felt got hella time because it was trying to make up for that lost match. That hella time could have been cut in half and could have gave another women's segment or another women's match, in my opinion.
Sure, it could, but it was good. It was a good match, but I mean, in general, there was a lot of things they did with the pay-per-view to, I guess, fill up the time since the Universal Championship match wasn't happening.
What is this match that was with Drew and this other guy? I don't even know who this.
Madcap Moss.
Yeah, where does this came from?
I mean, Drew has kind of been in a low key feud against them and Happy Corbin. I don't want to discuss it, but that was just that. There's nothing to discuss. But apparently he did get to be.
I think they rid him off TV because of an injury he sustained.
Yeah.
I don't know if it happened last night or prior to, and they just wanted.
That's why they had him attack him backstage. Yeah, I don't know, but he's like apparently really injured. So that SmackDown is kind of, they're gonna have to utilize more talent, and this is everything that we always discuss, and I want to eventually move on because we have other things to discuss. But this goes back to what we constantly say: you focus too much on one or two superstars, and now in a situation like this where we live in a world where COVID, you can catch it very easily. Your biggest star, right? But even so, your biggest star caught COVID. And then, like you said, injuries, like life happens. You can't sit here and focus on one or two superstars and let them run the whole show. And then you're scrambling to figure out, because now the next week of SmackDown, who are you going to sit here and rely on, right? Because listen, now they're saying with the CDC saying that you have to be out for 5 days.
This is
I
why.
don't know. We're not gonna get into it. We're not gonna get into it. So maybe he does come back sooner than later. I don't know. But the point is,
I can't spit my conspiracy theories like nah.
Nah. But they have to focus and build up more superstars, because that's unacceptable. Where now you're literally going to be scrambling for someone to fill in time. But yeah, that's.
Do you want to go straight into the WWE Championship match, or is there something else you wanted to talk about?
No, we can go into the WWE Championship match. Obviously, like we mentioned, Roman Reigns tested positive for COVID, so he couldn't perform at day one. So what they decided to do was, instead of Brock not having his match, they put him in the WWE Championship match in a fatal 5-way with Big E, Seth Rollins, KO, and Bobby Lashley. Now, listen, I was here for this match because that's big time. That's big time, and the match was fire.
I get it. I was for it too because I felt like this would be the first time we get to see Brock and Bobby Lashley in the ring together. That's what they've been championing since the beginning of last year.
They've been teasing, and they teased it.
They teased it a bit because they know that that's what the people want. But my issue was from the beginning when Brock came out last, you kind of tipped your hand.
Well, before we actually get into that, the idea of the match though was dope.
I mean, yeah, I said I enjoyed the idea. Like, that's fine putting Brock in. For me, I was more excited about seeing Bobby and Brock finally getting in touch in the ring. As I watched the match, I saw the storyline of Seth and Kevin Owens teaming up against the world, in a sense. That made sense because everybody else in the match is bigger than y'all. like these are monsters, and you're just like there, like, all right, let's take these monsters out. The structure of the match was pretty dope. Most of it was outside of the ring, some of it was inside of the ring, and it made sense. It kind of left you in suspense, like, all right, maybe somebody else could pull it also off in a way, like who's gonna screw who over between Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. The story was there, and this is why I say when I root for Brock is because to me it'd be hilarious to me, because if Brock wasn't put into this match, how was it supposed to end? It was just supposed to be with Brock winning. So was he supposed to beat Roman? Like, so how is this gonna flow?
And I can bet, like, I don't know, my whole salary that Roman wasn't gonna lose to Brock. I felt like it was gonna be a screwy finish, that maybe when he fired Paul Heyman, there was gonna be another screwy finish in regards to the Universal Championship match. Because, like, come on, Roman losing at day one. But what WWE wound up doing was making Big E expendable. That's exactly what it was. Like you said, they tipped their hand when Brock came out last. There's no reason why Brock should have came out last. And if you want that pop, that reaction, if you wanted that reaction, he should have came out first. right? Brock
Right.
comes out first,
Right.
and then the champion. Like, and this is what we talk about in the sense of, you know, not respecting your champions, right? It's just because like you can't sit here and um you can't sit here and have your champion who carried this championship for 100 and some odd days, then come out second to last, and then with just like that. I do feel that Big E was going to lose, right? Just because I thought it was time. I thought that like I felt that Seth Rollins could have potentially won, or even KO would have won. So I'm not necessarily upset that Big E lost. It's just again how he lost. Because you and I
Right.
have discussed this numerous times. I don't know if it's on Twitter or if it's been on here where we've said his reign has been really what do I say? It hasn't been
It's
that
been a filler
great. Yeah, and I read something on Twitter where he has lost multiple prominent
7
matches,
times.
right? So, you know, a lot of people sit here and trying to defend it, and it's just like, yo, I get it.
Uh-huh.
Where we're here is, you know, it's all we're here for our black wrestlers and superstars. We're pro black and everything. We want to see them succeed, but you have to be honest. This rant, and it's not because of him, but it's more so because of how they booked him, right?
Yeah.
Where the reign has been trash, right? The reign also, and then you stripped him of his identity. Like he, you know, remember the whole year prior, he was here saying that why should he change his identity? This is what made him. This is who he is. So all of a sudden now he becomes a champion. Now he's more serious. And granted, yes, you can be serious as a champion, but where's the biggie that we come to know and love, right? So there's a lot of things that they got rid of in regards to who he is as a character. That's just made this, in my opinion, his reign lackluster. Still love him. You know, he's gonna put his all. It has nothing to do with him. In this
Right.
situation, I can say it has nothing to do with Big E. It's just what
Yeah.
the situation they put him in. So with all that said, I do feel that his reign was coming to an end with but I didn't think Brock was gonna do that. And it's just like that's not cool.
It's triggering. It's triggering.
Yeah.
Like I seen a graphics where they actually had Big E, like WWE's on Fox or somebody like that. They accidentally tweeted out the graphics like all the current winners of tonight or last night. And they had Big E defeat Lashley, Rollins, and Owens. So there's speculations that Big E was supposed to come out the winner because that graphics, you know, are pre-made and stuff like that. And then when Brock got put in, you see a picture of Brock, but then it says Big E defeated. You know what I'm saying? So it was like those kind of things. And to your point, like you said, like there's no reason why your champion is losing in 7 different matches, whether it's tag team, singles, whatever. Like that's not a dominant champion that you're trying to present. Like Bobby Lashley didn't lose until that roll up to Xavier Woods, and then the roll up to Big E. Like all his matches were either in disqualifications or whatever the case may be to protect him the best way they can.
Mm-hmm.
And just to have him like shout out to Emilio Sparks and Mighty Vin. I did Wrestle Rap to wrap up 2021 with them. That's going to be dropping on Monday. It should be out by the time you're hearing this. And we talked about Big E's reign and how his reign meaned more outside of the ring than it did inside of the ring. Like he did so much with that title that we haven't seen a lot of people do in a very long time, between going to Ohio State games, doing an announcement for boxing. I think he did something for UFC. He, you know, just bringing the title. Went to the Breakfast Club, went to Hot 97, did these media runs with the title. We haven't seen a champion do that in a very long time, and it really like touched the media and brought attention to WWE. And that's what Big E really did. When was the last time we see somebody do that? And then to see the kind of reign that it gave him in between the ropes was kind of like, all right. Because a lot of times when you think about it, it reminded me of when Kofi was champion, when CM Punk was champion, when they just gave the titles to people that the people wanted, but they weren't main eventing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know that they wasn't the focus. Like, remember the night that Bobby Lashley, we love Bobby Lashley, of course, but him beating 3 people in one night and one of them beating your champion, even though it was, you know, granted it was a screwy finish, but it's just like, come on, what are you doing out here? So when that happened last night, and again, I say triggering because it gives me automatic vibes to what happened with Kofi. Like Brock just came in, took the title, and left. And this is why I be looking like, yo, like Brock is their guy. I love Brock. I love the way he wrestles, and like, you know, whatever the case may be. But this is like annoying. Like, come on. Because now, how does this fit in the storyline between him and Roman? It doesn't make no sense.
Boy, it doesn't even necessarily fit the storyline with Roman, because you know it's typical WWE fashion where they're just like it's dropped and that's it. So I wouldn't be surprised where it's not even mentioned, or it may even be a thing where they're trying to do a unification in regards to the titles. I don't know where they're going at this point, but again, it is triggering in the sense of, again, I do feel Big E was going to lose the title. I just felt like then if he was going to lose, let him lose to some people that he was actually feuding with, not someone that not that they decide to throw in there and it's Brock, so he gets it. It shouldn't be that. It really shouldn't be that. You know, I understand Brock is dominant and what have you, but Big E deserved, the same way Kofi deserved an actual match in regards to and then lose. Big E should have deserved an actual, like, you know, with him like losing into someone who was feuding with him. If Seth won, if even KO won, I'd have been like, all right, yeah, that makes sense, because they've been feuding like legit for a good few months.
Yeah, and but didn't sit well in my soul was the fact that Big E is the one that ate the pin. You had
another thing,
three other bodies in the ring. You let the champion eat the pin. After, what was it? I think he did one F5 earlier tonight to Big E, and then another one just now to pin him in the middle of the ring. You couldn't let Seth take the pin. Nope, gotta protect Seth. Can you let Kevin Owens get the win? Nope, gotta protect Owens. I know they're teasing Bobby to be the next contender, but it's just like, again. So what does this mean with Roman? Like, because you have nobody else set up on SmackDown to contend for the Universal title. So everybody's still looking at Brock to see what he's going to do with Roman. So they trying to tease Bobby and Roman for Brock. So now you, again, putting your eggs in all in one basket with both of your titles. So, like, what is happening here?
Not to cut you off, we've heard like mad different sound effects. Like sirens.
The music of New York.
Anyway, no, but you're right. It just comes down to putting your eggs all in one basket, and it's really unfortunate. And then what? This Big E loses. Does he get a rematch? It's the same thing like they did with Kofi. And I don't know if you follow Kofi on Instagram. I mean, Twitter. He put a sad face, like a crying, like a tear face, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And I'm like, it's probably PTSD. Like,
right,
man, you know, never got a rematch until a couple of years later.
And then it was like 2 years later. Like,
yeah.
And I saw the picture. I saw the picture of Big E sitting outside of the ring, and it was just like deflating. Like, really? And then Kevin Owens' tweet is like, at least it wasn't me this time, kind of type of tweet, because you know he usually eats the pin in these multiple people matches, but it's just like, come on.
And like I said, even like I'm trying to like play devil's advocate, as you say I always do. Even if Brock was the one to pin Big E. Big E didn't really go down with a fight. It was just like you said, an F5 in the beginning, and then to end off the match, an F5 or whatever, and that was it. It was just like, well, how is he the champion? Because when we look at champions, they're supposed to be kind of supernatural in the sense, or that they can overcome anything, whether it's they got to do something sneaky or they're too powerful. So how, like, it was just nothing. It was just nothing to be like, all right, well, he put up a good fight against Brock. You know, it wasn't that. So that's what sucks.
That 3 came down, and all I could do was laugh, because it was just like, again, we're here. Like, I understand this match was longer. I understand the match was pretty good in terms of like the action in between the ropes and outside of the ring. But it was just like, as soon as you saw him hit the F5, it was like, yo, kick out. He didn't kick out. What the fuck?
You were like, what? You were like, what?
Yo, I'm like, yo, what is happening here? Like, we here again? Like, what year is this? Like, that's how I felt. Like literally, that's how I felt. You did all of this, woke up the New Day, and for what? Like this is like, what are we doing? I don't know if you're done with this match, but something else I forgot to mention. Migos, what are we doing here? Like, why was the Migos coming out with? I get it with the Randy Orton and that history, but
that, and also too, it's just like if Migos came out with Street Profits, even though that's what it should have technically been, but it's like if they came out with Street Profits and lost, it would have been like, yeah, like obviously RK Bro was winning, so that's why they came out with Migos and the celebration at the end. So I guess that's what they were doing, but it's just like, I don't know. I feel like Street Profits was kind of, I feel like they were kind of playing heel, right?
Yeah. I think I felt that as well when I was watching it. I wouldn't be surprised if I wouldn't be mad if they did, because I don't know. I haven't watched weekly. However, their reaction has been weekly with the crowd. Are they still hot, or are they starting to wear off? Because the only thing I look at is that now that they lost the heel tag team, we got to find a way to fill that void in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how many heels there's left on Raw, but with
I don't know. Yeah,
breaking up.
Yeah, there's not, or what? Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I felt like they were working kind of like a heel. They were obviously on the heel side too. So it's just, I don't know. It's something to pay attention. Yeah, but that's enough about day one. Like this is going to be a pretty short episode because, or maybe not, because this discussion might be.
Yeah, I know this discussion right here. So I was like, short episode. You sure?
Yeah, because we're already at 36 minutes. All right, but let's get into it and not waste any time. So this past week, I guess the interview with Fightful with Swole, it
was an interview. She has her own podcast, and she was talking about it on her.
Got it. So she has her own podcast, and she mentioned. So I guess Fightful reported, and that's when Tony Khan quoted it, but essentially Swole praised AEW, gave its compliments where it needed to, but she also gave constructive criticism and felt that they lacked diversity. And this is something that they were big on in regards to when they first started. And then Tony Khan, like the bitch that he is, I'm gonna call it what it is, basically dismissed a Black woman's claim in regards to diversity, said that, oh, well, we have I'm a person that's brown, and so who else is brown, and then he named multiple people that have been in the spotlight, and we have Jade, who's a TBS champion, and Jade's
not the champion yet
in the championship tournament is what it meant.
Yeah.
Don't correct me. Nah, and then said that the reason why he let Swole's contract expire was because she just wasn't a good enough wrestler. But in media scums prior to that has given her praises. So you just sound like someone that can't take constructive criticism. And see, let's get into it, because I feel like you and I are going to go back and forth on this. I've said this numerous of times in regards to how Tony Khan has operated on Twitter. And you've said this and that with the WWE. Vince McMahon doesn't do that. And you don't see that on WWE's platform. But time and time again, whether it's Tony Khan, whether it's Britt Baker, whether it's Chris Jericho, have continuously poked the bear. Continuously. Yes, it's competition. I get that. But there's certain things that has been said, and it's like, why are you even commenting on that? And this is a prime example. And now Tony Khan showed his ass. Showed his true colors. That he's a spoiled rich kid that can't take constructive criticism. So what are you gonna do? So someone said this, so I'm gonna belittle what you said and shit on you. That's exactly what he did. And I from jump, I've been consistent with that in regards to, I do not like how Tony Khan operates. I've even said I didn't trust how he operates, especially again in the media scums where it was just like, oh, cool. And then looking at it just seemed super fake to me. I'm not saying he may not be a nice guy or whatever, but something about him just didn't come off authentic to me. But I wasn't blinded by the shiny new toy. Go ahead.
All right. So first, I want to say we've talked about this in terms of diversity, and I don't feel like diversity is the correct term. I know that's what Swole used in terms of her what she was saying, and but diversity is definitely not the term that is needed here. I think it's more so about representation,
right? Because it's not necessarily the issue,
right? Because she even said it like she talked about how her daughter was looking for a representation in AEW. So we've always spoken about that. It was the representation, it's not the diversity. So in that matter, this is why I feel like when he tweeted what he tweeted, he was like, "Oh, we got diversity," is because he only read the headline. He didn't even read the article. He's one of those things where he just read the headline and reacted accordingly, which was very poor. And I don't know what's going on in AEW, but the motherfuckers need some PR or some shit. To keep it 100. Because, like, I've said this, and I've said this to you, whether it's WWE, AEW, Impact, whoever. When it comes to social media, I understand because we're in a time where social media brings in your audience. It's a large portion of how you bring your audience. So when Tony Khan or Jade or even in WWE side, Randy Orton or those guys, when they tweet, like we've seen KO, tease some shit. He doesn't talk crazy because Kevin Owens has sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, it comes down to people that have sense. Randy Orton has tweeted some crazy shit. There's people that on both sides have tweeted crazy stuff in general. I don't care about the Twitter because that's how social media just moves. But in this instance right here, when you're just reading the article and you're reacting accordingly, that's poor decision on your end, especially when you own a company, because now you're hurting audience members, the audience that was into your product. I always say this. I never stood here and said Tony Khan was a genius, blah, 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 none of that shit. I always said I love the product. I love what I'm watching because it's wrestling. Yes, it needs more representation. Yes, whatever the case may be. I know one of the things that we brought up was how Phil said, give it time. Yes, we said give it time because, again, the way we looked at it from perspective for AEW is most of the time that was in a pandemic, a lot of ideas got switched. We don't know what's happening, but I would say for me, and I I heard Phil say this as well, my thing has always been support the wrestlers, i.e. I'm wearing a Tasha Steele shirt that I bought directly from her because Impact don't want to give her merchandise for whatever reason, and I always tweet that like, yo, Impact, what's up? Like, why she not getting no merch? And that's the way I look at it. Tony Khan and the way that he conducted this and handled this was very poor. And it was like you said, a bitch move, because at the end of the day, if you listen to Swole's entire podcast, she's giving these people praise all the time. She's not saying anything that's not being said on Instagram or Twitter, wherever, and we know that Tony Khan reads his Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not nothing new. And when Sean Dean, who was on Grap City on Saturday morning, he talked about it. He said those things that Swole said in her podcast and in that article that Fightful put out, she was very vocal about backstage. So it was nothing new that's how she felt. You know what I'm saying? Like, and to me, I felt like the way he handled that was poor. I don't know. Like I said, they need some PR work, but definitely the representation in AEW has always been lacking. That's never been a subject that was up for debate. You know what I'm saying? In terms of representation for black people. Yes, I said that there were maybe on the track to doing good things, and we've seen people like, Dante Martin, Will Hobbs. Will Hobbs should be doing more. I'm one of the first people to say that. And it's just the balance of it, and that they need to be more prominent in terms of the heavyweight title picture, more TV time, and not just the black men, but the women in general. And that's something else that Swole also talked about, was the women's division and how her and Kenny Omega go back and forth in a friendly way, nothing hostile, about how they could do better for the women's division. You know what I'm saying? Like, things of that nature. But again, going back to what Tony Khan did, I agree with you. There's been so many times where it was like, just like when he told the girl during the interview, but he did this with her, and he does this with everybody where he interrupts them before they finish their question. And this goes back to what you're saying. It's one of those things where you have to remember the people that run these companies are billionaires, millionaires don't tell me shit. I know what I'm fucking doing type of people.
Yep.
Like that's
Yep.
how that's what it always
I've
came off of.
I've never in history of billionaires and multi-millionaires have seen a humble billionaire, right?
Yeah, like from
And that's
Elon Musk to the dude that owns Facebook to Vince
it's
McMahon, they all the same. The
they're
difference with
all
Vince is that he
arrogant.
doesn't. The difference is with Vince, he's smart enough to hire somebody to run his social media. So he's not gonna. He's not even gonna go off the rail on Twitter.
Or not even, and
Like,
not even he's not even hired someone on social media, but enough to where, like, example, Nick Khan is going to handle all his dirty work, right, or speak to the media.
right.
Vince McMahon, I don't know when's the last time Vince McMahon actually spoke to
He
the
did
media or anything like
the
that.
last time he spoke to the media, he got in trouble. If you remember, he did that interview like in October or September where he was like, when they asked him about AEW, he's like, "Oh, we're just gonna keep giving them more people to hire," type shit.
Yeah.
I remember.
So with that,
So
so with that said, it's just like, again, I've never met I've never actually met a billionaire, but just I've never seen a
I
billionaire
wish
that
robbing them.
yeah.
Like, nah.
I've never seen where they're humble. Is always a sense of arrogance. So I don't care how this man comes off or whatever and seems super nice. At his core, he's arrogant. And it's funny because I was reading something on Twitter, and someone mentioned that their parent worked for, or not work, but has interacted often because of their job with the Khans, like his father, and apparently they're not the most liked people, right? So this doesn't surprise me. One, two, and I mentioned this on Twitter. Don't, like, remember, the same people that are in AEW are the same people, wrestling minds, that's been in this industry for years and decades. So that's why, again, when I was like, yeah, all right, let's see what AEW has to offer. But I wasn't quick to be like, yeah, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do things differently, because the same people that are running this company have been in WWE, WWF, with the
Yeah,
whole mindset of it's a white man dominated industry, right? So yeah, you
right.
might have here and there, people of color in HR positions and this, that, and the third. Cool. But it's just the people
In
that are
that
like
room, in
Yeah,
that room.
JR, etc. These are people that have been in wrestling for years. And it's crazy for me to hear Tony Khan say, oh, well, I let her contract expire because she wasn't that good of a wrestler. So why'd you sign her in the first place?
And why did you say in multiple medium scrums that she was a great wrestler? And why you say that you only signed great talent? Let's be honest here. Like, the reason why Britt Baker is where she at is because Swole gave her the trampoline to be where she's at. That's the first feud that she actually did well.
The
Let's keep it
feud
100.
that feud that they had, and they were all over in the doctor's office,
Right.
and third is with
I don't want
with
I don't want to
Swole.
turn this into like bashing on women for women, but let's remember how Britt started off on the pre-shows and did what she was doing, and we was like, yo, what is she doing? I don't want to mention the incident, but like, let's not act like Britt was always nice and polished. She got there because of Swole. So like, that's why when he did stuff like that, you could tell he was just hurt and reacting. And the crazy thing is, in the same episode, Swole was saying how he's the nicest person.
I was listening to
He
that.
always take care of. You know what I'm saying? And she did it again the morning after whatever Tony Khan did, just to show you that it was never malice on her side. Like, the things that she said about like lack of structure, I've heard that outside, not even like on some dirt sheets, like directly from the locker room. Like, the structure is different. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the way they do things is different. If you're not creative, that's probably not the space for you, because you're on your own to get yourself over. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I get that. Sometimes it's good for a company, but to act the way that she did, like they did, as if she said something wrong, is crazy to me.
And
it's just nuts.
And even outside of Tony Khan, to see so many of their talent show their asses to liking and retweeting. It'd be one thing if you you liked or retweeted in the sense of what they, the argument of, okay, there is diversity when you have a Mexican wrestlers dominating, or Japanese wrestlers, or whatever the case might be, if that's the portion. But in that same quote, he shitted on her, and to see Britt Baker like it or retweet it, to see MJF do that, to see Jade, and this is when I had this conversation with you on how Jade operates, and I said, this is I'm a fan, right? And I get, speak your voice in regards to as a black woman and feeling disrespected in this industry, but there's a way you carry things. But the same way that she sat there on Twitter fighting these neckbeards that were coming at her, and in less than what, a month or so, she had the audacity to sit here and retweet and like all this stuff when Khan did that to Swole. That's I can't respect that. I can't respect that.
In terms of like the Britt Baker and the Jay situation, I can't really comment on because like it's
Listen,
crazy to me
then
because
then and
it's
then
like those are people. I feel like, to be honest with you, those are people that taking things personal and just riding out for the like
a
they
man,
have
what
personal beef, like their own side
Brody's
beefs.
Brody Lee's wife.
That one, like I
then,
said, I told you with the Brody, like again with the Brody Lee wife situation. A lot of the people that I like, I said this to you in the text because this is New Year's Eve. I wasn't like, I told you I'm not saying on this too long, but the people that's for the Britt and Jade, I can say that's personal against Swole. Whether they agreed with it or not, they was going to do it because they don't like Swole for whatever reason, what beef they have. I'm not excusing it. I'm trying to piece it in my mind, like what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Those things I heard about. The terms of like Brody Lee's wife, the best I could think of is, she felt like she owes them whatever and she wants to be supportive of her boss. That's the way I look at it. I'm not excusing it. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just like trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like from just standing from like you said, like, what did you say?
devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate. Like I'm just looking at it from their stance. Like Jade and Britt, they have personal agendas with Swole. Amanda, she has, she said it in the Tribune. She owes them like they, you know what I'm saying? Like she feel like she owes them everything for how they handled everything and how they take care of her. I can see it from that point. But then you have those people that, Will Hobbs and you have the Sean Deans who speak their perspective of it. Sean Dean, like I said, Will Hobbs tweeted what he tweeted. I don't necessarily agree that he had to do it. I don't know if he felt like he had to stand up for his boss because he gave him a lot as well. I don't know. I didn't agree with it. Sean Dean, who's my frat brother, he went on, like I said, Grapsy. He explained that the reason why he tweeted his position was to show that he's trying to make the change within the company from his role by being, coordinator of extras. So that's how he got, Amber Rodriguez to be backstage for something which led to them being on Dark. How he got, Lee Moriarty on Dark, which led to him getting signed and going on to the Dynamite and, so on and so forth. So he was just showing how he's trying to change the culture backstage. And for people to attack him for doing that was kind of like tasteless in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like he said anything bad about Swole. Even during that interview, he said, that morning, Swole texted him and was like, yo, we good. I understand what your stance was and what you were saying. He wasn't discrediting anything she said. He was saying like how he was trying to change within the company. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like a lot of that night, the moment that Swole put that out, I was like, oh, shit. A shitstorm's about to happen. That was even before Tony Khan's bitch-ass tweet. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like, all right, I see how this is going to roll. And then to see people go after certain wrestlers for feeling the way they felt or speaking the way they spoke as if they were like discrediting her was an injustice to what they were trying to do. It was like, yo, like, for example, Darius Lockhart was he did a very long tweet where he explained how he felt, and it was very great. I don't know if you get a chance to read it. And he was basically saying the same thing where he's trying to make the changes within the company from the inside. But he don't know if he could do that anymore if that's the way that Tony Khan see people. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's trying to fight this battle for representation. And they're all trying to do it in their own way.
And here's the thing too. When you mentioned in regards to Will Hobbs, I was very disappointed in his tweet, and it just seems like a constant thing. Not even in wrestling, but in general, where black men don't stand up for black women, right? Even in the sense, shout out to Leo Rush said what he said and tweeted Tony Khan, but then afterwards posted something and said he's working on like they're working together, this, that, and the third to, like kind of like a PR thing. And it's just like, yeah, that's, you've kind of folded super quick. And it's just like, and then Tony Khan was quick to like that that comment that Leo Rush said, but it's just like you liking that, but you hadn't come off your high horse and apologize.
That
And
and that's
again,
where I was gonna go with it. And I was like, with the whole Leo Rush situation, that was a
yeah,
little bit too fast in my opinion. Like before
exactly.
you tweeted out
And
anything, if you really had a discussion with Tony Khan about representation, how y'all could do better moving forward, the first thing on that list would be you need to apologize. Just like he tweeted, you need to apologize before I say anything on my behalf. You need to make sure that
there was no
you own up to your
apology.
mistake. Like
And there was
if
no
he
apology.
apologized and Leo put that tweet, there'd have been no issues. But there's no apologies. He's been quiet. He's been
Yep.
continuing, and even on an initial tweet, he's promoting Rampage.
Promoting
Motherfucker, I'm
yeah,
not watching
exactly.
Rampage. The
After
fuck you
that.
mean? Like that's how exactly I read. Like the fuck
That
you
is
mean?
arrogance. And this is what I talk and what I'm
Like,
talking about. At the end of the day,
I'm sorry, I'm
a
cursing a
white a
lot. I
white
don't. This
man,
is out of my
a white
character, but that
man,
just made me.
a white man, a white woman, a Hispanic, a white Hispanic woman are not going to know the plights and struggle of a black woman more than a black man, right? So for when I see that no person of, and I'm not going to even say person of color, no black person stood up for Swole, that's this disheartening. And it's just a constant thing that is something that we have to deal with time and time again. And this is something that we discussed in regards to and with, you know, with all of this in WWE. Say what you want, but look at all the wrestlers that have been champions in WWE. A good majority have been black wrestlers. Yes, say what you want in regard, like obviously Big E losing the way he did, trash. But you got to think about it. Bobby Lashley was not only was he a WWE champion last year, he was also a United States champion, and he was booked dominantly. At one point, we had a short-lived faction with the Hurt Business where Shelton Benjamin and Cedric, I was gonna say Cedric the Entertainer, Cedric Alexander
Wow.
was champions. You have the New Day that was champions. You had Sasha Banks who was a champion. You had Bianca Belair who was a breakout star and a champion, and they main evented. Again, I don't like how they in regards to ending their Bianca's reign at SummerSlam and whatever, but she was a champion and she was booked really, really well. You have Omos who was a champion, right? You had Apollo Crews that's been a champion. You've had Big E who was also what was it, a intercontinental champion this last year. You even have down in you had the Street Profits who were champions. You've had Carmelo Haynes, even though you said in regards to you didn't like that Braun Baker got to leapfrog into the main event picture where Carmelo has had to get the North American title. You've had prominent roles from black wrestlers, whether it's pandering or not. Obviously that needs to be called out if it is pandering or not. But I didn't fall for that shit in regards to AEW and them signing all these different talents and having them on Dark and Elevation. Like, yeah, this look, we're listening, we're doing this, but yet some way somehow on Dynamite and Rampage, I don't see the rotation, this mythical rotation that we're supposed to be, you know, all on board with, right? I said the same thing with Hobbs. You said he mentioned in his note or letter or whatever, his tweet, that yeah, he's been put in prominent positions. Yes, you were put in prominent positions against certain people, but yet somehow CM Punk, right, every week is on TV fighting this, that, and the third. Who are you fighting? Lee Moriarty and who's his what's his the Sindel and
Dante
and
Martin.
Leo and Dante, right? Yeah, you had this pairing or whatever. Where are they now? Where's Ricky Starks? Ricky Starks is healed from his injury. Where's
He's
Private
not fully
Party?
healed.
Still,
He's still,
but where is he? Right? My point
he's
is,
on
and the same
commentary.
thing, not all the time. And then he's had his
Yeah,
moments where
he
he
is
was
on
on,
Fridays.
but he's not. But when he was healed, and then he came out and did whatever, what happened in that sense?
That one there was they if you look at that match, she didn't really work a full match. They just needed to get the title off of Brian Cage because they had the issues with Brian Cage. He's not fully healed. Is why he's not in the ring.
All right, so let's take Ricky Starks out of this. What about Private Party?
They've been last week.
But my point is, they have not been featured like that. The same way Lucha Bros are featured, the same way the Young Bucks are. This is what I'm saying. My issue when you and I discuss, you finding like, but they did this, but they did this.
No.
Hold on, wait. But let me finish. Hold on, let me finish my point. My point is in the sense of, okay, yeah, they won this past week, but why is it that we talk about this theoretical rotation, yet somehow the Young Bucks are constantly in the mix of things every week? And it's like, yo, I get it. At the end of the day, I don't even necessarily believe this whole rotation bullshit, because it's like, yo, at the end of the day, if these are your star wrestlers, why wouldn't you feature them every week? But don't sit there and be condescending and tell me, yeah, we're doing this or whatever, and yet you're literally showing me that's not the case. Where's Red Velvet? Yes, she lost in the tournament. Cool. Okay, but prior to that, right? It's just like, somehow, Ty Conti, she had her her championship match a while ago, but then she somehow came back around and was in the forefront and isn't in the forefront in regards to the women's division. There's too many excuses made. There's been too many excuses made for AEW, and yet we sit here and be like, oh yeah, but Darius Lockhart is on Dark or Elevation, or Carly Bravo's on there, and Amber Rodriguez is on there. Yeah, they're doing this. All right, cool. Why are they not on Dynamite and Rampage? And then fuck telling me about this ranking system, when the ranking system don't even make sense. Like, I honestly, I think it was all bullshit. Go ahead.
So first, I would say this is one of the things I try to stay away from, is comparing and contrasting WWE and AEW, because at the end of the day, all companies are trash. I've said this. I'll probably say AEW to group together wrestlers, but in terms of the companies are still the same. Like you said, are ran by the same people, or handled the same way. I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, but we've talked about the ranking systems, and the ranking system doesn't make sense. How is it somebody, like you said in a tweet, in our text messages, how is somebody that's 21-0 in third place and somebody that's 17-3 in second place to advance your storyline? Shit, even freaking CM Punk said it. He's like, I don't really understand this ranking system that they're trying to do, but I know that it needs room for improvement. When you say that I'm trying to defend with like this thing with private parties and stuff like that, I'm not. I'm saying this happened like because you're like, where they are. I'm telling you where they are. Again, private party needs to be in a better position, because when this whole tournament started for the tag team titles, they had a bomb ass match against the Young Bucks.
Yep.
And everybody was talking about them, and they didn't capitalize on it. That's something that we've always talked about. You know what I'm saying? Like, Scorpion Sky grabbed the brass ring, went into the TNT title match, lost it, and then went to wherever he went into, and then we never saw anything else about that. And then they put him into a tag team again, and then even that tag team is not even doing anything because they're standing behind Dan Lambert. We're not even talking about that dumbass promo, and how people are attacking Brandy, because that was trash. And it's just like, you're right. The reason why we champion when the people like Darius Lockhart and Dante Martin is because we're trying to support the wrestlers to force their hands, because that's why Lee Moriarty got signed, is because he had that following. You know what I'm saying? Like, when they saw what he was creating on Dark, it was like, all right, we got to get him on main TV if he got that kind of following. It's up to us. And this is why we did put you on, is to familiarize maybe the common wrestling fan with these people, so that when they do get in these positions, we can try to get more of a backing behind them. Yes, they have their stars when it comes to like Cameron, Adam Page, Young Bucks, Omega, a very like Caucasian and mixture of Lucha Brothers, and all they have their favorites. Put it like that, right? But we have to find a way to break that mold for them. So, like for instance, what we always say about for Naomi, she trends and then nothing happens. So, if in this instance where somebody trend and then something did happen, like a Lee Moriarty gets signed, so maybe they are like, because we always say freaking Tony Khan is reading tweets or looking at the numbers. He's obsessed with that shit. I don't think Vince McMahon is as obsessed with the numbers anymore, because he's getting paid regardless. So
Right.
if the numbers, so in my perspective, when I say support the wrestlers, is like if the needle moves for this person on Dark. If you notice, when I tweet Dark matches, like whether it be Amber, Darius, whatever, I take it from the mark where their match starts at. Like, yo, check this match out. Because if that numbers jumps on the analytics, they're like, yo, they got a following. Let's move them over. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my mindset of how to approach things when it
And
comes
no,
to these corporations.
and I get that in regards to supporting the wrestlers, supporting that said talent. I get that 1,000%, but I'm saying in the
And
sense
also,
of
you have
like,
to call them out too when they drop the ball. Because when they drop
like
the ball, you have to call them out.
I just again, you don't like to compare the companies because they're all trash. Cool, that's fine. But again, AEW's whole shtick when they first came out
You're
was
right. They're
we're
supposed to be
not doing
different.
with it. So we're supposed to be different. So I'm gonna sit, and at this point I have to sit here and compare that in that sense. And yeah, we're supposed to support our own and support these wrestlers so that if they're moving the needle and signing them in so they can be in prominent positions. I get that. Great. But my thing is like, yeah, we're doing this, but it's like I see right through Tony Khan and them, and it's like, yeah, all right, we're doing this, but we're gonna put you on Dark and Elevation, but we're not gonna put you on prime time. And maybe we might put you on prime time, but that's here and there. But we're not gonna put you in prominent storylines where you're featured every week.
And that's the issue. Yeah.
That was all smoke and mirrors. And I saw that from jump. And again, in regards to the comparing of the companies, I get it, cool. But at the end of the day, like I said, WWE has had multiple storylines in the past couple of years, right? Because we can say in the past few years this wasn't the case, but to see like black wrestlers in particular dominating, I want to say I feel like that's the quote unquote the race that's been dominating on a whole spectrum with WWE has been blacks, right?
I wouldn't say that.
In the past year or so,
I
I'm
wouldn't say that. I
saying
would say, and this is where I draw issues with WWE and the fans that say those kind of things. Is that yes, they're doing better because it wasn't that long ago when the situation with Bobby Lashley and showing his glutons and all that stuff. Yes, they're doing better, but it's not in the prominent roles that you think. They have them doing the work, but they're not getting the praise. Because, like I said, look at the Universal title picture. Only
I
one black
understand
person.
Yeah,
No, listen. Watch. For the Universal title picture, only one black person has challenged it for 5 years since 2016. They've been open longer than AEW, and there's only been one person, Kofi Kingston, won by disqualification, never got a rematch. For SmackDown in general, they had Bianca and they had Sasha. They moved Bianca and kept Sasha. Nobody else, correct me if I'm wrong, nobody of black person representation is on SmackDown carrying the load and being on the forefront. Everything's being put on the B show. This is where I have my issues with that. Like, you can't. I understand they're giving it to us here, and we're gonna be glad for that. But we got to keep the same energy here. Why we're not on the A show? Why wasn't this when Raw was the A show? Why wasn't this the prominent place? Because it was a flip.
Okay, but
you know what
when
I'm saying?
you
Like,
say
I understand we get the championship.
I understand. Okay, but with
I
that
understand we
point
get the
that you just said,
championships and stuff like that. And then again, to bring up what you said about Carmella Hayes, let me ask you a question. If you had a briefcase and told you, can I pick $500,000 and can I pick $1 million? What are you gonna pick?
you pick $1 million.
$1 million. So why they made him pick the $500 thing, and the guy that just jumped into the company is about to be the face of the company when it could have been easily Carmelo Hayes?
Yes,
That's
I
the
understand.
issues that I have.
I understand that, but again, what I said to you, I'd rather Carmelo go that route than jump all of a sudden to the main event picture. Why? Because that's how you burnt out these superstars early. And we've had this conversation numerous of times about how they used to do things back in the day. There was a pecking order. Yes, what you're saying, I'm not disputing what you're saying in regards to Braun Baker. Cool, I get that. That's not cool. He should follow the same route that Carmelo is. But if that was the formula back in the day, you start off in the mid card, work your way up, get popular, this, that, and the third, and then you get into the main event picture, and then you become the star, and a long lasting star. I'm all for that. And that's what I see with Carmelo. Carmelo, he's the breakout star. He won the North American title and was put in a top 10 match this year, right? So
Which
I
match was
can't
that?
say that was the or for last year, the War Games match, right? So
But I
you
don't think that
can't.
was more so for him. It's more so for
I'm
Braun
not
Baker,
saying
in
it
my
was
opinion.
him.
I'm just saying. I understand.
It was a
I'm just
great match in general. The point is
right.
he participated in that.
Right.
Whoever was the one that got the pin and was the one standing tall is not my point. The point is that he is being put into a position and is having prominent storylines. So I can't necessarily be mad at that. Yes, okay, I hear what you're saying, but if you're telling me 2-3 years from now, Carmelo's the bigger star than Braun because of the slow, transition to a main event to a star, what would you pick? You would pick that. At this point, all right, yeah, Braun is the hottest thing. A lot of people, and you also have to admit too, it's kind of what you were saying in regards to AEW and people being behind specific wrestlers, right? A lot of people on social media was blacks, black, white, whatever, were heavily behind Braun Breaker. So it's just like what you were saying.
Yeah, it was corny. But
Hold on, but what you were saying in regards to AEW and people getting behind specific talent, that's kind of similar to in the sense of what people did with Braun Breaker. So again, my point is, and then you said in regards to Sasha and Bianca, let's keep it a spade in regards to the women's division. Who else were they featuring in on the quote unquote A show? No one.
nobody.
No one. So
They had about it, yeah.
it's not even a situation of featuring more blacks, this, that, and there is no one. 1, 2, yeah, quote unquote Raw is supposed to be the B show, yet Raw is still beating SmackDown in Survivor Series. If Raw was really the B show, that wouldn't be the case. So I mean, you got to look at it from different perspectives, right? And again, this is not me chucking and jiving for WWE and saying that they do everything right by us. But when I see the dynamics in the sense of, okay, well, these people are getting TV time on Fox, right? And these people are getting time and prominent storylines on Raw on the main shows. Then I gotta be like, I'm digging this. it's a step in the right direction. Again, it's not always done correctly, and there's things that we have to constantly call out WWE. What they did to Bianca at SummerSlam, what they just did to Big E at day one.
Big E.
These are things that needs to be called out, absolutely. But if I see this happening, but with AEW, what black wrestler has challenged for the AEW title?
They haven't had one in a long time. You're right, and that's again
What
part of the representation that is lacking.
outside of Scorpio Sky, what black person?
You're
black
right,
man?
and you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is part of the representation and building the black people at AEW that has always been an issue. This is why we try to put people in front of them. Again, this is a new company, so you try to help at least do influence. Because back in the day when we were watching WWE, we wasn't never in a position because we were younger or thought of to do certain things. The moment that we start to do certain things with AEW is when they started giving us the Kofi Kingston, started giving us the Bobby Lashley's. You know what I'm saying? So when you start see a company that starts off young, again, I always give them. People say I give them the pass. Yes, because during the pandemic, you never know what happens. They're still young, 2.5 years, whatever. You're still trying to influence your change. Doesn't mean you give them a pass. Doesn't mean you don't call them out like, yo, what's happening? What's the time at? Just like Swole has done.
So,
you know
but when do you before you finish your point, and this is not you, devil's advocate, I'm saying
right.
we keep using the excuse that it's a new company. When does that probationary period is over? 1, 2, like I mentioned earlier, the same wrestling minds that has been in wrestling for decades are in AEW. So
Yes.
and I mentioned this via text, the concept of inclusion, representation, diversity is not a new concept. At this point, the past couple of years, everything that we have experienced in regards to, Black Lives Matter movements and this, that, and the third, no one can say that they're living under a rock and don't know anything, are ripe in regards to being represented and treated with respect. This is not a new concept. So when do we stop saying, give it time, it's a new company? When do we say it's not an excuse anymore?
I say, first of all, to me, I already spoke to you on Friday when this whole situation happened. I don't even know. Was it Friday? Yeah, it was Friday. I don't even know how to approach this anymore because my immediate shit is like, yo, stop watching this shit. That's where I'm at right now. Like, I'm not really entertained or inclined to watch anything AEW. And I'm not gonna say that's like my end or be all. Like, I'm never gonna watch it again. But right now, I'm turned off. Like, that whole situation with Swole and the way that TK handled that, I'm turned off. But I know in the back of my mind that I have to support the wrestlers, and it's not about the devil that's at the top.
Right. So because like you said, like you guys keep saying, support the wrestlers because you not watching AEW would be that.
It's just infuriating. It's just infuriating. I'm like, all right, like I'm good. Like, so even with the Rampage, I heard that the women had an amazing match. I didn't even get a chance to watch it because I was like, I didn't even want to, deal with none of that shit. But I feel like the time is coming up because we've been saying, give it time for like a good year since the pandemic started because everybody's complaining like towards the end of the pandemic of like 2019, early 2020. I think that the time is coming up because now, especially with this tweet and him knowing that now that we know that it's been, he watches the shit. We know that. So I feel like his time is winding down. Like, all right, you guys got to start delivering. And I feel like this is the year. And I feel like the one thing I don't want people to do is if and when Jade wins the TBS title, you can't say it's because of what happened with Swole. Like, you can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, from the beginning of this tournament. No,
because
but from this is why I make sure we got to tell the fans that. And that's another thing I wanted to say is, to your point, we can't give the pass to WWE either when they fuck up. Because I see a lot of capping for Big E on Twitter last night. Like, well, he had a great reign. Well,
which is something
had it
that
for 100 days.
Which is what we discussed prior.
Right.
And what
did
we say?
You can't be that way.
On Big E. It's not on Big E. This is specifically on WWE and how they handled his reign. That is totally. And like
so you got to call it. That's what you
call
said.
It out.
We agree on that. You got to call it out. But I see so many people on Twitter like, well, it was fine. Well, it was good. Well, at least he was champion. Like, no, we can't be that way. Like, and this is what I was saying in terms of breadcrumbs. You can't be okay with the crumbs. Yes, they're making progress, but you can't be okay with the crumbs. You have to keep pushing for it. in terms of like, all right, what are we doing? And that's why you gotta keep supporting these wrestlers. Like Bianca, they try to shut Bianca's light out, and she's still shining.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason, like I'm saying, like, and that's the point. Like, you have to continue to support these wrestlers, and you can't always think that because somebody's defending a certain wrestler or promoting a certain wrestler is that they're okay with that company and their decisions. No, we're trying to influence the change. We may not be as aggressive as some other people are and tweeting Tony Khan every day, like, fuck you, where's the black representation? Like, that's not, to me, you get more bees with honey kind of concept. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to go into a corporate building like, yo, pay me this amount now or you're not fucking hiring me. Like, that doesn't make no sense. Like, they don't have to do it. You know what I mean? Like, in this case, they have to do it. But what I'm saying is, like, aggression doesn't bring in what you want. You can't be in a relationship and be like, yo, give me a ring or I'm out. It's not going to work. And that's a lot of times why the arguments happen on Twitter, like, oh, like they, like, again, bringing up Phil, they just call him a coon and all that stuff because he's not aggressive as they are. That's not okay. Like, we're all working towards the same goal and we all have our own practices. Support the wrestlers. And that's what I'm struggling with now because I'm like, yo, how the fuck am I going to do that? And how I'm feeling. But yeah, daytime is definitely coming up, and it's coming up shortly because it's about to be like 3 years now, 3.5 years. So Scorpio Sky challenged for the title in 2019. Where we at?
And
like,
like you said, Private Party won. All right, but yet somehow
they should be more. Honestly,
I love Jungle Boy and everything, but it should be a situation where why is Jurassic Express every time I turn around in fighting for a title or seems to be in the title picture. I love FTR, you know, they're stand-up dudes as well. But every time I turn around, like, you know, I forgot which one got injured, came back and they were in the thick of things with the AAA championship. Then I see Kyle O'Reilly, you know, debuts on AEW and the band is back together, but now this prominent storyline is between the Young Bucks and Adam Cole and those. But yet again, where's Private Party? Private Party's been running behind Matt Hardy for the longest. It's just like, okay, you know,
that's what I'm about to say. That honestly, the Hart family
in
office
in Dark Order.
I have no problem with.
Yeah.
This cool. I don't have no problem with Private Party working with Matt Hardy because he's a tag team specialist. They can use that rub if he's talking for them, fine. But like that Hardy family office is just it's trash.
That rub eventually has to equate to something, right?
Yeah,
it's like, yo,
if
I'm training with you, that means that you're gonna put me in this position. Where's that position? Like I look at, and again, I look at like Dark Order. There's nobody black in that whole faction. You know what I mean? How many black women wrestlers that are actually signed on AEW currently? Jade and Red Velvet. You know what I mean?
And I think I don't think Kiera Hogan got her signing.
Maybe she was signed. I'm not too sure. I can't recall or not, but it's just, you know,
the women division in general needs to be better. They have too many to work with that they are focused and need more storylines for, in my opinion.
There's a lot that AEW has to work on, and it's running up on, all right, it can't be give them time anymore at this point. And for me, I'm not, it's not give them time anymore. What are you doing? You know, I'm not saying they didn't put on dope shows or whatever, and you know, the energy is different. There's a lot of things to take away from AEW and be like, yeah, they're doing a really good job. But there's a lot of things that they're not necessarily doing right. And
like
it's time
Sonny Kiss be getting more.
Sonny Kiss, there's another thing too. Like, yes, first of all, it's a black man, and then, you know, he represents the LGBTQ community, right?
Yeah.
You know, the Acclaim gets featured often, cool. But the Acclaim hasn't been in the title picture. Go ahead.
You know, it's funny. Acclaim was on Dark, and it didn't get recognition until the situation happened with Caster, and everybody's like, "Well, they should have been on TV anyway." This is my point, right? You should have been on TV anyway. Why were they on Dark? First of all, nobody was watching them on Dark. Y'all say a lot of people said they didn't like Caster's rap, but the moment that he got in trouble is when everybody's like, "Oh, he should have been on TV anyway." Then they started getting TV time, whether it be Rampage or Dynamite, and everything went mute again. This is what I'm saying. You have to stay consistent. You can't just say things and then disappear. You can't say things because you're mad and then disappear. You have to keep following up to push it forward.
They do get featured on TV, which I like. I actually like that claim. I like that. I actually like when they come out. I do. But we've discussed
just to close this out. Just to close this out real quick. Here's an interesting fact. It is 2022. That means all records are wiped clean, which means this gives them a good start to start delivering on some of the things that they said. Because now everybody's wiped clean. No records matter. 2022, if you're going by your ranking systems, everybody's on all even playing field. So now it's time for you to start delivering on what you said.
Absolutely.
Outside of the TBS tournament, that's on Wednesday, clean slate.
Yep.
What are we doing? That's what's gonna be 22's motto for AEW. What are we doing?
Yep. But on that note, that's our show for the first episode of the year of 2022. If you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, Twitch, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, our personals at Blue Magic Grind, spelled as a sound, at Miss Jenna Baby, BAYBEE. You can follow us at the Mixed Tag Show. Got a lot of content that we're working on this year. Look out for the draft that's going to come soon. We're looking for 5 different managers for this season, so they can compete for a title. And
and also check me out on Wrestle Rap. Emilio needs to get you on, so we gotta put you on. What?
Don't check him out. I'm sorry. Yeah, check him out.
Don't be that. Anyway, Emilio said I gotta connect you with Emilio to figure out when you're free. But check out Wrestle Rap this week. We did a shout out to Emilio, shout out to Mighty Vin, and also Ryan. We did basically a recap of what happened this past year. Like not what happened, but like the top 10 wrestlers of this past year. In terms of like, WWE, independent, whatever have you. So make sure you check that out. Who you think is number 1?
In regards to
rest overall
last year.
On the list. Who?
I don't know. You can say Kenny.
all right.
You can say Kenny. You can say Roman. You can say Bianca, Britt. There's a lot of people that did their thing last year. So yeah.
So we talk about that. So make sure you check out Wrestle Rap this week. Vin, Emilio, and Ryan. Thank you guys for having me on there. That's it. 2022. Let's kick it off. Subscribe, YouTube, Twitch, all that. Peace.
Tag show.